another find, a crazy find, a crackhead find if you want to be honest. You know the old rare 150, no not the 150, the KD80 that we had? Yeah, some crackhead hit me up on Facebook Marketplace, offered me this Bombardier 90 two-stroke, and I said why not. So me and Buddy this morning woke up early, loaded the trailer up, loaded the KD80 up, and we went and picked this, whatever this thing is. I don't even think they even make these anymore. Bombardiers? Does anybody know anything about Bombardiers? I have no clue, but we're gonna get this thing in the shop. She does run. We'll fire her up so you can hear the first start up before we do anything to her. And you gotta check out this throttle cable here. And when I mean a crackhead had this thing, I'm not lying to you. This is their throttle, so I guess you could get on this thing and you just rip. So we're gonna get all this fixed up and put back how it's supposed to, and get this thing cleaned up a little bit. I used to have Suzuki 82 stroke back in the day when I was a kid. That was my first ever quad, and I used to rip on that thing. I used to love that little thing back when I was a kid. I couldn't get over that two-stroke power, so this will be the first little quad that I've worked on or rode since I was a kid, especially a two-stroke quad. So let's get this thing rode into the shop. Let's have some fun on this thing. See what we can figure out. See if we can get it fixed up. Still didn't show you that it was running, so let's get that. Well, the crackhead had this little switch where it needed to be. Now it ain't. So the parking brake needs to be on to fire this thing up. Got the key on, ignition. See what she does. We gotta give her a little fuel. Yeah, I mean, starts up, she runs decently. Only gave $150 for the KD80, so technically I only got $150. What did I say? Did I say 150?
175.
175. I only got 175, including fuel to go pick up the bike. So yeah, $170 ATV right here, two-stroke. She sounds pretty cool. It's automatic, belt driven, I believe. Comes with a nice lot bar pod too, so hey, can't go wrong with that. Crackhead inventions.
And it's functionable too.
Yeah, and it's functionable. We got, let's see, where'd the switch go?
Left hand side.
Functional light pod. I mean, dang, we got a good deal, bud.
Who says crackheads can be honest sometimes?
Well, yeah, that was easy enough. 2 bolts and weight reduction. So we got some type of breather here that looks like it runs to the bottom of the case. And then they got it blocked off here with a screw, right? That's not the bad part, the screw being in here blocked off. The bad part is, if you look right down in here, check this out. They got an inline filter. An inline fuel filter. Tell me why.
Now that we got the carburetor off the ATV, we can start by removing the 4 screws on the bottom of the bow here. You want to be careful when removing those. A lot of times they'll be super tight and they're easy to strip out. So you want to make sure you don't strip those out or you'll have a pain, especially when you're trying to clean the carburetor You want to make sure to save those so it can all go back together pretty easy. Once you get those 4 screws out, the bow should come right off. And you want to make sure to reuse that gasket if you do not have a replacement. The four-wheeler is in pretty decent shape. It does have some minor scuffs here and there, but it is, you know, a 20-year-old four-wheeler, so it's going to have a little bit of damage. The seat cover's a little ripped, and it does have some zip ties, but hey,
And everything
looks good to me.
Off. There's a little bit of dirt down in the bow. It's not too bad. A little bit of weird looking fuel, and it don't even smell like any premix. It smells like just regular fuel. So who knows what the crackhead's done. They said this is a new carb. Looks to be a new carb. I don't know what Bombardier, what brand carbs they use. Most name brand bikes they use like Kian and Mikuni. But if you buy any aftermarket carb like on Amazon, it's going to come just from China without any markings. As you can see, they're nice rigged up air filter that they got on here. It looks like they use some Gorilla Glue on this side and some hot glue on this side. So they used what they had, but along with their nice rigged up 6-inch throttle cable. Don't know if that's for them either. But we're gonna get these jets took out, get those cleaned up, get the car back on, and see if we can figure out something we can do with the throttle cable for now until I can order one or something like that.
Getting the carburetor put back on the bike now. Got all the jets and everything cleaned up. Everything seems good to go in the carburetor. Make sure the floats and the needles and everything was perfect and everything looks good. The seller did mention it was a new carb, and I'm assuming one off eBay or Amazon. Looks like a China carb, so who knows about that. But we're getting it all tightened up now and getting some fresh premix put in it. Gonna make sure to tighten the air boot and make sure to put the fuel lines back on.
Alright, now that we got the carburetor back on, got jets and everything cleaned out, the bow cleaned out, the main jet was a little bit clogged, so we got that all squared away. Now we gotta figure out about the throttle cable, if we can rig something up. For now, we might just have to handheld pull that thing, you get what I'm saying, yank on it a little bit and get it going that way.
That might be in the blooper reel.
And go for a test ride on things. So we're gonna get the tank drained out. We're gonna pour a little bit of fuel that's in the tank into like something clear that we can look at to see if it's just like normal fuel or if there's any premix in it. I don't think these things have oil pumps, so I believe you just premix everything. But we'll have to run to the gas station, get some fuel. And, pretty much next is just get this throttle cable on and go for a ride. Don't you think, bud?
Sounds good to me.
That was good. Ooh. There's some more, I don't know if it was the water that was in here, but that fuel doesn't look good. I got it rigged back up how the crackheads had it for now. I don't got an extra throttle cable, but we got this wire kind of in. Probably need to tighten it up a little bit more, but it does function down there, and if it functions, it'll work. So we're going to put some fuel in it and make sure everything's plugged back up. Got to mix it 40 to 1. I don't know what they had it mixed, but I do got some cheap gas station oil. Who cares? Say something about it. But I'm cheap, obviously. Look, I got Bombardier. A Bombardier.
Off-brand Can-Am.
What is a Bombardier? Who knows? But we're gonna get this fuel mixed up and see if she'll fire up. What do you think, Bobo?
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, carbs cleaned.
Cable's fixed. Carbs cleaned out.
Fresh fuel.
Fresh fuel. She ran already. So I mean,
we can't be going backwards here. We can only be going forwards.
We can't be going backwards here. So let's get this thing mixed up. This is the moment of truth. She's got fuel in her. She's got a clean carb. She's mixed. Throttle cable's rigged up, and moment of truth. If we can adjust a little bit on the car.
Well, Bo, I think we got a certified ripper here.
I think we do got a certified ripper. We decided to take the throttle cable back off. It was kind of getting stuck, and I decided also that I didn't want to die on a 90cc Bombardier today. Yeah, so we're going to hold off on using the thumb throttle today until we get a new cable for it. But
well, listen to this thing rip now.
we're just going to do the old handheld crack net action. Two-strokes, they got power bands. You can hear that power band kick. I believe we do got it ready. The only way to test it is get it on the road.
Now I think the 50 might have to...
Yeah. 50 versus Bombardier 90.
The internet can hate, but I think the 90 might give the 50 a run for its money.
It sounds like it. Who knows? Let's get it on the ground and put it to the test.
So one thing we've determined on it is the tank is definitely dirty. We're not completely for sure if we cleaned the tank out very good. We put about a 1 gallon mix in there and we only filled the tank up halfway. I think the big problem is that there's dirt in the tank and it's into the lines. So once it gets running wide open, it runs pretty decently. But up until that point, I mean, it just wants to bog the whole time. So we're good under here so we can get this tank cleaned out a little bit, get the lines cleaned out, go get some good mix, and then make sure we get the proper mixture and go from there.
Pulled the plug out and it's pretty fouled out. And take a look at that spark plug gap. It's like almost literal to none of a spark plug gap. So, I mean, how can you get spark with a gap that small? Like, that is, I don't know. Probably something else the crackhead done. Probably dropped the plug or something and it smushed that thing down. But we're gonna run, get a new plug, because it is pretty fouled out and that gap is not good. So we're gonna get a new plug. Just got back to the house, got some new fuel on, some new fuel and Lucas oil to throw in it. It's already mixed up. Done that at the gas station. We mixed it up 50 to 1. We got 2 new spark plugs with NGK. One that the four-wheeler was calling for online, and then we got a cross-reference to the one that was currently in the box. We're going to try both of them, see how it does run with each of those plugs. If we throw one in it and it runs perfect, we'll just leave it in it. We'll have an extra one for whenever. But the gap on the old spark plug was pretty much non-existent. When I was at the part store, I used one of their gap tools and it wouldn't even go into the spark plug at all. And I even tried to force it in there and it wouldn't even try to go into it. So the spark plug gap was trash on that other spark plug. We're gonna get the new fuel on put on. I'll probably pull the carb off because it'll take just a second, just to make sure there's no trash in it, because we do got an inline filter to throw on it.
So we're getting the carb took off now. I was able just to pull it off and not take it completely off the bike. Save a little bit of time there. And just unscrew the bow like we did previously. We already cleaned it once, but we didn't have an inline filter. And we noticed that there was junk in the tank. So we just wanted to make sure that the jets was not clogged at all before we put the inline filter on. That way we know once that is on, we won't have to worry about junk that is in the tank and getting down. As you can see, we're spraying out the filter.
While he was doing the fuel line, I put in the new spark plug. Got it going. He's putting fuel in now. And we should have a ripper ready to go.
Good enough for testing purposes. Neutral or anything, so we're gonna get it out here in case she wants to shoot off like a rocket and we don't run through everything. Take the spark plug out that we just put in it and test the other spark plug out to see if it changes anything with it running. One spark plug might be, run a little bit harder than the other spark plug, and we'll also want to check and see if it's fouled or not. With these 2 strokes, you should be able to see it, a little bit of oil and fuel on the end of the spark plug there, so it's fouled out pretty good. Still good, but clean. It's got a brand new plug in it. It had a brand new plug in it because we just put one in it, but we're swapping it out to test it. It should fire up and run perfectly fine until it fouls this plug out. So
theoretically speaking, of course.
yeah, if it does start up and run perfect, then we know it is a fuel issue that keeps fouling the plugs. Alright, so I feel like the top speed, once it does open up, was a little bit better on the other plug, the plug that's called for this bike. This plug, they also recommend this plug, but I feel like the other plug, maybe a little bit harder.
Is this the NGK or the Champion plug?
This would be the NGK reference. So the plug that we had in it was it's still NGK, but it was the Champion reference, which matched up with the length and everything. For as it still running the way it does, yes, I believe this Chinese carb that they got on it just isn't cutting. So I'm gonna look online and see if I can find another carburetor, something that's good of quality, has good reviews, and that fits this four-wheeler here. So, but hey, it was fun messing around on it. Once we get the carb situated and a throttle cable on it, this thing seems like it'll be a little ripper. Once it opens up, you can feel that power band kick in the two-stroke, and she screams. But I do hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We got this thing on an awesome deal. Pretty much got 180 bucks in this. We traded the KD80 that we got here off Facebook Marketplace, and we got this rare Bombardier 90 DS90. I guess this is probably the last years before they came, or they switched their names over to Can-Am. We figured that out, that these actually are Can-Ams. They just went from Bombardier to Can-Am.
Yeah, because this is an 04 and they switched to Can-Am in 2006.
So that's what we figured out as we was looking up parts and stuff for this thing. So yeah, that is today's video on this rare 2004 DS90, and maybe we can get this thing fixed up and make it a little ripper. Then we'll be able to race up against the old freaking race bike CRF 50, fastest 50 I've ever been on.
And when we're done with it, it could possibly be yours off Marketplace if you find it correctly.
Yeah, just maybe. So yeah, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.